Pompeii before the eruption was not a city of doom. It was an ordinary Roman city where no one expected the end of the world. In the 1st century AD, approximately 10 to 12,000 people lived here. The city was located in southern Italy, near the sea, close to trade routes. This made it convenient for business and comfortable to live in. Most residents were not wealthy. There were few wealthy houses. The majority of the population lived modestly, in cramped houses, on second floors, above shops or workshops. Pompeii was a city of trade and services. Bakers, winemakers, blacksmiths, tanners, and fabric dyers worked here. The city produced wine and garum, a popular fish sauce that was exported throughout the Roman Empire. A very important detail: people rarely cooked at home. More than 150 eateries and taverns have been found in Pompeii. Hot food was bought on the street. It was cheaper and more convenient. Bathhouses played a key role in city life. People went there daily. They were a place not only for washing, but also for socializing, discussing news, and concluding deals. The bathhouses were accessible to all social classes. Water in the city was free. It was supplied by aqueducts and distributed through fountains in the streets. This made Pompeii a convenient and well-organized city. The streets were narrow but well-designed. Wagon ruts remain in the stone. Stone blocks were laid across the roads so that people could cross the street without stepping in mud and waste. The walls of houses were covered with graffiti. This wasn't decoration. It contained advertisements, political advertisements, jokes, insults, declarations of love. The city was constantly talking. Prostitution was legal. Several brothels have been found in Pompeii. They were part of the economy and everyday life, not a secret activity. It's important to understand the key. People didn't live in fear of the volcano. Vesuvius was considered an ordinary mountain. It hadn't erupted in generations. Earthquakes were common. 17 years before the disaster, a strong earthquake struck. The city suffered greatly, but it was rebuilt. Houses were repaired, streets were repaired, businesses continued to operate. This created a false sense of security. People thought the worst was over. No one left, no one prepared to evacuate. The city went about its normal life and made plans for the future. Vesuvius erupted on August 24, 79 AD. But for the residents of Pompeii, that day didn't begin as a catastrophe. In the morning, everything was calm. No fire, no lava, no panic. The first warning sign appeared around midday. A huge column of smoke and ash rose above Vesuvius. Contemporaries described it as resembling a pine tree, a tall trunk, and a widening peak. But even this didn't mean immediate death. Volcanic ash and pumice began to fall on the city. Light stones rained from the sky, but they didn't kill immediately. People could walk, breathe, and move, and many decided to stay. Why? Because the Romans didn't understand how volcanoes worked. They didn't understand what would happen next. The ash was perceived as a temporary problem. Some residents actually managed to escape. Those who left early survived. This is important. Pompeii wasn't a trap from the start. The real catastrophe began a few hours later. Ash accumulated on the roofs. Houses in Pompeii had flat or weak roofs. Under the weight of the ash, they began to collapse. People who remained in their houses perished under the rubble. Those who went out onto the streets faced another problem: the inability to breathe. But that wasn't the end. The most deadly thing happened during the night and early morning. Vesuvius began spewing pyroclastic flows. These are clouds of hot gas, ash, and rock. They moved at speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour. The temperature inside was hundreds of degrees. There was no escape. There was no hiding. When the first such flow reached Pompeii, the city was completely destroyed. It's important to debunk one myth. Most people didn't suffocate slowly or die over hours. Death occurred almost instantly. The temperatures were so high that people died in seconds. The city was covered in layers of ash and rock up to 6 meters thick. Pompeii vanished from the Earth's surface. Why wasn't the city officially evacuated? Because the Roman Empire had no civil defense system. There was no understanding of the volcanic threat, no evacuation protocols. The catastrophe happened too quickly for the level of knowledge at the time. Pompeii didn't perish from stupidity, and not from inaction. It perished from a lack of understanding of the nature of the threat. The city wasn't doomed in advance. It became doomed when it was already too late. After the eruption of Vesuvius, Pompeii disappeared completely. The city wasn't destroyed and rebuilt. It didn't become a ruin that continued to be used. It simply vanished. The layer of ash and rock was so thick that the city was quickly forgotten. Soil appeared above it again. Plants began to grow. Decades passed, then centuries. People knew that there once had been a city somewhere here, but no one remembered the exact location. Pompeii was not mentioned in medieval chronicles. Described them as a functioning settlement. They didn't become legend. They simply vanished from memory. They were rediscovered only in the 18th century, completely by accident. Workers were digging a canal and stumbled upon frescoed walls. At first, no one understood what they had found. Only later did it become clear. An entire Roman city lay underground. The excavations began without a clear plan. Many finds were damaged or removed. Some frescoes and objects ended up in private collections. But even in this state, Pompeii proved unique. The ash played a dual role. It destroyed the city, and yet it preserved it. The wood rotted, the textiles disappeared, but the stone, the frescoes, the streets, the inscriptions, the house shapes, all remained. A particularly significant discovery were the voids in the ash. These were places where human bodies had once been. Archaeologists began filling them with plaster and obtained precise casts of people at the moment of death. Thanks to this, we know exactly how the inhabitants of Pompeii died, in what positions, where they were, did they try to flee or hide. Today, Pompeii is more than just ruins. It's the most perfectly preserved city of the ancient world. We know what the houses looked like, where people ate, where they worked, how they earned money, how they entertained themselves, what was written on the walls. No other ancient city provides so much information about everyday life. Pompeii isn't important because of the death toll, and not because of the scale of the disaster. It's important because it reveals ordinary life stopped at a specific moment. It's a city without interpretation, without later reconstruction, without romanticism, just as it was. Today, Pompeii is an open-air museum, but it's also a warning. The people who lived here didn't consider their world fragile. They believed that everything would remain as it always had been, and that's why this city still captivates millions of people. Pompeii isn't the story of an ancient volcano. It's the story of what life looks like a second before catastrophe.